Using Word to create a publisher-like newsletter. We recommend that if you're creating a newsletter, you use something online such as Sway. You can see this example is quite visual and responsive. This means if a parent was viewing this on a mobile device, they would be able to see the newsletter on their device as the text reacts to the size of the screen. However, if your students need something that's printed, you can create a newsletter in Word. You might have previously used Publisher to create a newsletter in the form of a book. This video will show you how to do the same thing using Word. This will allow you to use the Share button to share the document with your colleagues for collaboration. You can see this newsletter here has got 6 pages in it. I'm going to start in Word by firstly changing my margins. I'm going to go to Layout, Margins, and then set them as narrow. This is an A4 page. When it prints, it's going to be A5. So keep this in mind when you think about your font sizes. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the pages as blank pages. There's a handy keyboard shortcut to do this. If you hold down Ctrl and Enter, this will automatically get you a new page. I'm going to create 6 new pages. I'm in fact going to create 7 because this will allow me to see the pages opposite one another as I'm working on them. I need to remember at the end to delete the first page so that this is not printed. So again, I hold down Ctrl Enter to get a new page. If you haven't used page breaks before, it might be worth in the Home tab clicking on this little button here, which will show you the paragraphs and the page breaks. When you're working on a page, make sure that you place your cursor to the left of the page break on the page you're working on. If you place it to the right, your text will go on the new page. Okay, so I've got my 7 pages. I can now start working on my newsletter. I'm going to start by entering a table. This will help me to organize my text. I want one row that's for my text, another row for my picture, another row for text, and then 2 bottom rows. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows. And I only want 1 column across. So I'm going to place my cursor to the left of my page break, go to the Insert tab, 1 column across and 7 down. Then I'm going to use this to drag my boxes to the right size. I can see now I've got 8 pages because my page break has gone across. I'm just going to make my page slightly smaller to get that page break back. Okay, now I've got my table, I'm going to insert some text. In Publisher, I've used WordArt, and WordArt in Publisher is a bit clumsy because in order to edit it, you can't just double click. You have to actually go to Format, Edit Text. So I'm going to first center my text, and then in Font, I'm going to click on this little text effect. From here, I can choose something that suits from here. And I'll just make that bigger. So if I highlight it, I can go back to Font and press this little button here, which increases the font size. Okay, I might be happy with that. So now that's size 80. If I want it to be the same, I can click this button here, which is the Format Painter, and click in there. I'm going to highlight that, click on the Format Painter, and then highlight my new text. Now I want To Our School to be in a different colour, so I'm going to highlight it, and I want to change my font colour to green. Now the blue doesn't work well with the green, so I'm going to change that as well. So my shadow is going to be orange. Okay, welcome to our school. I'm now going to insert a picture. Now I want this picture to be in the middle of my box. I'm going to click on my row and go to Layout and select this box here, Align Center. And then I'm going to go to Insert, Pictures, and I'm going to try Stock Images. If you use stock images or any of the different illustrations or stickers, this means that your image is not copyright protected. So let's try illustrations, and let's put in school and see what comes up. Oh yep, there's a backpack. Let's try that one. Okay, it's too big. That's okay. We just make it smaller. Now there's a lot of white around here, so I'm just going to crop that. Make sure I'm in graphic format, and then I can crop that to get rid of that. And just click off. Okay, welcome to our school. I've got our graphic there. I'm now going to put in the upper primary unit. So I'm just going to highlight and copy that text up the top. Put it in here. Under paragraph, select center and type in upper primary unit. Now this has gone over 2 rows, so I'm just going to highlight that text, go back to font and use that small a. That's too big. Let's go for 60. Again, if I want to center that text, I can go to Layout and then select Center Align. And in fact, I'm going to use the same font size for our school. And then I'm going to put in Newsletter. So this time I'm going to highlight the Our School, paste it in, go to Paragraph and click Center and put in Newsletter. I'm then going to add some text down here. Now it hasn't come in at the same size, so if I want that to appear at the same size, if I right click, I can select this first option here, which is Keep Source Formatting. That looks a bit strange, so I'm just going to change the borders on this slightly and bring it in on either side so that it spreads out a bit better. Okay, and lastly I'm going to put in this bit of text. Again, if I want to keep the same formatting, I right click and select this first option, Keep Source Format. And then I just delete those extra lines. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that, except for these borders. And I'm just going to get rid of my markers so we can see what it looks like as a clean page. So under paragraph, I click on that little symbol, and then we have what it looks like as a clean page. To get rid of these borders, I'm going to highlight the whole table and I'm going to go to Table Design. First of all, I'm going to get rid of them, and then I want a nice green border, so I'm going to change my pen colour to green, and I'm going to change it to 4.5 points, and then I'm just going to click and draw that border in, and click off to get rid of my border painter. And there's my first page of my newsletter. Okay, in my second page, when the parent opens up the booklet, there's some information about teachers, some information about healthy eating, communication, coming on time, and homework. So let's create some tables to put in this information. When I create a table, if there's a gap, what I want to do is add a row for that gap. If there's any tables within the text box, I'm going to add that as a separate table after. I'm just going to go back in and put in those symbols. So on this page here, I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows and 1 column. So I'm going to go to Insert, Table, and 5 rows and 1 column. And again, I'm going to stretch out these rows so that I can add my text. So let's have a look in this first one. In this first one, I've got a heading, and then I've got another table. So let's first of all add our heading, and let's center that. So under Home, go to Paragraph. I'd like that a bit bigger, I think. So under Font, I'm going to press that big A and make it stand out. Then I'm going to insert another table that's 3 columns and 4 rows. So let's insert a table that's 3 columns and 4 rows. If I go to Table Design, I then have some options I can pick from to make my table a bit more jazzy. I'm just going to click on this one, which is a plain table. I'm going to change the font size. So from Home, Font, I'm going to click on that big A to make it a bit bigger. And then I'm going to add my text. Notice that the columns resize as the text is added. Now that font's a bit big, so I'm going to highlight it and reduce the font size. That looks better. And now I'm going to make that row a bit smaller. Let's copy this in to my next box. And let's call that Let's Be Healthy. Again, I've got some text and then I've got 2 columns. So I'm going to insert another table that's got 2 rows and 2 columns. My first row I'm going to merge, so I highlight, right click and click Merge Cells, and I'm going to copy and paste that information in. I'm going to right click and click on that first option, Keep Source Formatting. Now that's centered. I don't really like it centered, so I'm going to go to Home and click on Right Aligned. Okay, and then in this column, again I've got another table. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different rows and 2 columns. So Insert Table, 5 rows, 2 columns. Let's highlight that first one and merge the cells by right clicking, and then we copy that text across. Right click keep source formatting. And let's center that. And in the other side, I'm going to copy across that list. Now again, that doesn't look that great because I've got my borders. I'm just going to increase that a bit. So I want to get rid of the borders around the whole of that first table. I can click on the home paragraph and then choose the border. And that looks a bit better. Okay, then I got my final box. Again, I'm going to copy the heading in and change it. And then in this case, I'm just going to add the text without adding a table. Okay, now I think I want a bit more space in between those boxes. So that it's consistent, I'm just going to increase the font size and keep that the same between each box. So let's try 36. And then I'm going to put in some colourful borders. So I'm going to highlight the whole table, go to Layout. I'm going to highlight the whole table, go to Table Design. I'm going to select No Border to begin and then click. And then I'm going to choose some colourful borders. So I'm going to now select that line. I'm going to change the colour for this first box to orange. And I'm going to change it to that 4.5. And then I can click around that border so that that first box is looking nice. I'm now going to change the colour to blue. And do the next box. And then pink for the last box. If the colour isn't there, I can click on more colours and choose one. I'm just going to insert this image as well. And there's my second page. I'm going to repeat the process for the next page. Okay, I've now finished putting in the different pages in my newsletter. And it's looking pretty good. I'm just going to go into Paragraph and unclick this so I can see it without those page breaks. Now that I'm happy with it, I'm going to delete that first page. And then I can save it as a PDF. To do that, I go to File, Save As, choose a location, and instead of a Word document, I want to click on that little arrow down and select PDF. Once that file has saved, I can open it up in Acrobat. You can see my newsletter looks pretty nice and all the formatting looks really good. To print it as a booklet, I go to File, Print, and in the options I select Booklet. This will automatically put the pages in the right order when they're printed. You can see because this was only 6 pages long, there's a blank page for the back page. If I print it, I will then get a booklet that I can just fold. And this is how you can create a newsletter in Word.